Hi, I'm Scott McLean from transmusicmastery.com, and in this video I'm going to show you how to program the Just For You Pluck on the Access Virus TI. And the original sound that Adam Sabo designed for the Zebra 2 synthesizer sounds like this. And let me go ahead and disable each of the Zebra 2 modules except for oscillator 1. And let's go ahead and look at this. Oscillator 1 is a quad saw wave with slight detuning. Width is at maximum, and there's some modulation on the pitch, and the modulation is being done by envelope 2 and LFO 1. So let's go ahead and listen to this now. Alright, so let's go ahead and try to recreate that on the virus. So right now the virus is just set up with the init patch. First thing we want to do is transpose it down one octave. Okay, next we want to go to oscillator 1. I'm going to set the oscillator balance so that only oscillator 1 can be heard. Select hypersaw. I'm going to specify 4 saw waves because the oscillator 1 on Zebra 2 is using quad. And for now I'm going to disable the modulations. I'll bring those back in a moment. But right now let's just focus on the detuning and the stereo width of oscillator 1. And what I've done is set the unison mode to twin, and I'm going to increase the pan spread to spread it across the stereo spectrum. That's pretty close right now. Let's go ahead and look at the increasing the detune amount. And I need to adjust the amplifier envelope, so I'm going to increase attack to match the attack of Zebra 2. And for this I've prepared a couple other MIDI clips here. This bottom one just plays one note, just the first note in the sequence. This middle clip plays the first 3. So let me just demo that real quick. Or actually vice versa. So the bottom one is playing the first 3. Just repeating it. This middle clip is just playing 1. I'm going to play that so that I can fine-tune the envelope. Okay, let's try this again. Okay, I think that's pretty close. So now what I'm going to do is go back and just fine tune. I'm going to hold a single note down and fine tune the unison. Or I meant the detune amount. Fine tune the detuning. So there's a difference in level here on the attack. So I'm going to bring the amplifier volume up and then lower the sustain level, because the sustain level is lower on the Zebra 2. I think the decay needs to be increased on the virus. Okay, I think that's pretty close. Let's look at what the modulations were doing with that sound. So on the Zebra 2, the modulation mixer is combining the ENV2 and the LFO1 to apply some slight modulation to the pitch. And that ends up sounding like this. So let me do one of these at a time. First I'll just do the LFO. Gives it a little variation in the pitch there. And then let's look at what ENV2 is doing. So it's accentuating the pitch detuning right at the beginning of the note. So to match that with the virus, what we're going to do is use an LFO. And we can't use an envelope because the only envelopes we have on the virus are the filter envelope and the amplifier envelope. So what I'm going to do is sort of simulate that pitch change using an LFO, and I'll use a sawtooth waveform in envelope mode, and what that does is it will only apply the LFO during the attack decay portion. It won't apply it to the sustain. So by that I mean if I just exaggerate the detuning or the LFO modulation of oscillator 1 and 2 pitch. Let me solo the virus. So you hear that pitch go from high to low until it reaches the sustain portion, and then it holds. It doesn't modulate it any further. And it will also affect it over the release stage as well, just not the sustain portion. So what I'll do is I'll bring this back until it sort of comes close. Won't be exact, but it'll come close to what the Zebra's doing. sounds like the zebra's starting at a slightly lower pitch than what virus is doing right now. So I need to lower that amount. Okay, so it sounds very similar. Now, the other thing we want to do is add that LFO. So let's listen to the LFO again by itself. So now I want to match that with another LFO, and I'm going to use LFO 3 and have it assigned to oscillator 1 and 2 pitch. And now what I want to do is just look at the rate on LFO 1. It's 1/4 sync. The rate's at 161, so it's been adjusted so that it's faster than the 1/4, but it's very slight. So we want to have something similar. So I'm going to set the clock, and we'll try 1/4 first, and then if necessary, we'll make it faster by going to 1/8 or 1/16 and see which one works. Seems to come close. And I also want to select a sine wave for the shape. Seems like we need a faster rate. Okay, that's sounding similar. I think the virus might be a little louder than Zebra 2, so let me adjust that. Okay, so they're sounding very similar to one another now. And now what we can do is bring in both ENV2 and LFO1 on the Zebra 2 just for you, Pluck, and listen to how it sounds, because we had both going here, so we may need to match it a little closer. Let's see. Okay, I think it sounds pretty close, so I'm going to move to the next module. Okay, so let me enable oscillator 2. This is a dual saw waveform, slight detuning, some modulation to the pitch, and it's wide as well. So let's go ahead and set that up in the virus. Let's hear how that sounds also right now on Zebra 2. Okay, so for oscillator 2, I'm going to select hypersaw, and I'm going to set it to 2 saws, and then increase the detune amount until it somewhat matches, comes close to what's in Zebra 2. So let me go ahead and do that. In fact, before I do that, I need to set the oscillator 1-2 balance, set that to 0 so that both oscillator 1 and 2 can be heard. And I need to increase the volume level. The Zebra 2 is a little louder, so I can't increase the volume level any further on Access Virus. So instead what I'll do is just lower the fader here on Zebra 2, just so that they match in volume level. That way, as I'm listening, I'm perceiving the sound the same way, at the same loudest level. Okay, I think they're about the same level now. And I'm just going to hold down a note and make sure that the overall timbre sounds similar. Okay, I think that's pretty close. Next, I want to go ahead and set up the filter. So let me bring in the Just For You Pluck and bring in the filter module. This has some modulation on the filter cutoff frequency, which is set fairly low. It's a low pass vintage, so this is a 24 dB low pass filter. Some key follow and some drive. So let's see if we can simulate the sound with the Access virus. Okay, I think that's pretty close. I am going to add some key follow. It's kind of a balancing act between the envelope amount, the cutoff frequency, and the key follow. Okay, that's pretty close there, so I'll leave it like that. Okay, now let's go ahead and look at the effects. So the first one is an EQ, lifting the mids and the high end. So we could accomplish the same thing by just cutting the lows. So let's see if we need to do that. Let's see what it sounds like. And again, I'm at the maximum output level on the virus without adding any more voices and things like that. So let me just bring the level down on Zebra 2. Okay, I think they're about the same level. One thing I could try is looking at what the peak level is. Minus 15 versus minus 18. So this is still peaking at a louder level. So let me bring that down. Okay, they're fairly close there, about 0.7 difference. Alright, so let's adjust the EQ settings. Now the virus is slightly louder, so I will lower that level. And the reason I'm lowering the level is just so that I perceive the frequency response the same when I'm listening. So when I'm comparing the highs or the lows, the mid-range, that type of thing, perceiving it at the same loudness level. There's still a little more of that detuned, squelchy type start of the note I'm hearing on the Zebra 2. I'm going to try adjusting this envelope amount. Let more of that through. And then come over here with the EQ and bring the highs down. Okay, I think that's pretty close. So next we'll bring in the compressor, and the compressor is making this change to the sound. So again, it's louder, so I'm going to lower the level until they're about the same. The Zebra 2 sounds a little darker, so I'm going to make another EQ adjustment on the virus. Okay, I think those are pretty close. And next, what I want to do is use this property, this control here called punch, to give the attack just a little bit of a click sound, just so we can mimic what's happening with that compressor. Okay, leave it like that. And then now we can go to the effects and bring in the delay. And this is a 1/4 sync stereo delay, but the ratio is 50 on the left channel, so it's really 1/8 and 1/4. So a 2-to-1 ratio. So I'll set the delay to ping pong 2-to-1. And set the clock for 1/4. Okay, I think I'm going to leave it like that. And then now let's bring the reverb in. And we'll note that there's some pre-delay, large room size, and fair amount of wet mixed in. It's above 50%. So let's go ahead and listen to this. Adding reverb, I'm going to set it to Hall. Okay, this sounds a little darker sounding. The Zebra 2 reverb sounds a little darker, but I like the way that the Virus is sounding. It's sort of got a more open feel to it. And let's just hear how this sounds overall with the original sequence. I think that sounds pretty good. So that's really it for this patch. I'll play it one more time on the Virus, and then that'll be the end of the video. And just before I play it, let me go ahead and close these windows to avoid some of those extraneous popping noises. See if this is any better. Okay, that's it for this video. I'll see you in the next video.